are ready to make a journal entry for percent increase and a journal entry for percent decrease. Now, these papers that I'm having you do have two purposes. The first one is to just let me see that you're getting the content down in a usable format, and so I'll have you turn these in and I'll give you a grade on them, even the ones that I help you out with. And it gives you practice on some problems of a specific type, but even more, it gives you each of the formulas that we're going to work with in Chapter 10, it gives them to you in a nice format so that you can use it to study from and to use when you're doing your homework. So I'm hoping these are very useful for you. They've been very helpful for my students in the past, and I'm hoping that'll be the case for you as well. So I'm just going to put my name here. I'll call myself Sample Student. And this is my journal entry for percent increase, and it's 10.1 in your textbook if you choose to look at that. The description of percent increase is when you increase a quantity by a certain percent of that quantity. Now that probably sounds like gibberish to you. So what we're really doing, remember, is things like tips, sales tax, when gas prices increase, you can figure out the percent increase for them. And anything else where you're finding a percent increase for some value from an old value to a new value. Now we do have formulas for these, but what we have been doing is doing the original amount times the percent, and I guess maybe we should say the decimal form, and then to that we are adding the original, and then we would get the new value. Now I want you to think about a formula that is in the book, and I'm going to show it to you. For percent increase, you could take original times the quantity 1 plus little p equals new. And now this is the formula that I'm going to give you on your formula sheet that you can use on your Chapter 10 exam and on your final exam. So we really need to make sure we know how to use it just in case. So original times the quantity 1 plus little p equals new. Little p is going to be the percent divided by 100, which is just your percent in decimal form. Okay, so if I take this, just so that you can see what I'm talking about, if I take this and distribute here and here using the distributive property, then I would have original times 1, that's just going to be original, and then plus, for that plus in the middle, and then original times percent as a decimal, and that's going to equal new. Now you can see that's the same thing as we have been doing. It's just in a slightly simpler form, and you only have original in there one time, so that if you're trying to find the original price, you can use this formula as well. So I'm going to erase this part because I just wanted you to see that it's the same thing that we have been doing. And then let's move down a little bit. Now for keywords, this is where you put words that are going to trigger you so that you know I need to use the percent increase formula. So things that you might see in a problem or in life, you might hear these words and they would tell you I need to use percent increase. You might hear percent increase. You might see increased by some percent, and I just put X there to represent some. Things like that. So you might see words like that. You might also see tips, sales tax, anything like that where you're seeing some kind of increase that you add back onto the, say, the price of the meal, or add back onto the price, the purchase price of whatever you're purchasing. So those are some keywords. Those are really important to help you when you have more than one type of scenario, so you know which one you need to use. So steps or notes. First, generally we'll find the percent of the original, and that's the amount of increase. And then we'll add that amount of increase to the original price or value. Okay, so that's if you're doing it by hand. If you use the formula, then you would want to, of course, find the percent as a decimal first, and then plug things into your formula and solve. So here we have a couple of examples, and this is what you're going to see for all of your formula journal entries. You're going to see an example. I'll generally work one of them, and I'll leave the other one for you to work. And then you will fill in all the top part that explains the formula, work the two problems at the bottom, and then you will scan it and email it to me or fax it to me. I will look them over, grade them, send back comments to you, and then you keep the original so that you have that for your notes, and then incorporate. If I tell you, hey, yeah, you're right, but you did this problem wrong, you really should fix it so that you'll have it for your studying. Okay, so calculate your final bill at Vine's restaurant if your meal costs $14.95 and the sales tax is $7.85 or 7.85%. So the first thing is we can use estimation on these. I want to show you this formula first so that you've seen it in action at least once. So my little p is going to be the percent, so 7.85 divided by 100. And when I do that division, remember it just moves my decimal 2 places left, so I'll have 0.0785. And then for the rest of my formula, scroll back up here a little bit, hopefully we'll see it, there it is. So we have original times 1 plus little p, the quantity, equals new. And so to fill in this, the meal cost $14.95. That's my original value. So I would put that down here, 14.95. And then 1 plus my little p, I've already calculated, is 0.0785. And then when I calculate all of that together, that will give me my new price. Now when I add those two, 1 plus 0.0785, I just get 1.0785. That was easy. And then multiply by 14.95, and that should still give me new. I'll do that on my calculator. And so obviously this isn't a very good mental method, but it does work out pretty quickly. So we have 14.95 times 1.0785 equals, and I get 16.1235, and it goes on, equals new. Now I want to go back and look. Are we talking about money, or are we talking about the value of something? We are talking about money because it was the $14.95. And so my cost, my final bill is going to be 16.12, and I look at the next digit, it's a 3. It's not 5 or greater, so I'm going to leave it as 16.12. So my final bill is 16.92, $16.92. And so I've written myself a nice little sentence to explain my answer. Now, the things I want you to notice about this formula is that it takes the starting price and your percent for the increase, and it calculates all that, and you get your final price. So I don't know the amount of increase because I used this formula. So if I want to know the amount of my tip, or no, sales tax, if I want to know the amount of sales tax, then I would need to take that decimal form, my P, so 0.0785, times my 14.95, and that would give me the exact amount of tax that I was going to pay. So that would give me the amount of tax. And I didn't have that in my formula. It goes straight to the 1.0785, which includes the original amount and the tax together. So it just gives me my final tax value, which is very handy. It makes it a little bit quicker. All right, number 2, estimate the amount of tip that you should leave in the situation for number 1. And so I'm going to leave that one for you to work.